prophet. Some probably called him crybaby. You say, well, he's just oversensitive. No, he wept because he had such a heart for the people of Israel. And all that they were really just turning their backs on God. In chapter 2, he comes, and I want to read a couple of verses, then we're going to go flip over and we're going to look at chapter 6 and chapter 8. Paint you the picture of where the nation of Israel was at this time. Israel is in trouble. And the problem is that they don't understand it because they're not concerned about the spiritual side. And the other side of it is, in their arrogance, they continue to do the spiritual things. They had the temple, they had the high priests, they were doing all of the different sacrifices, keeping all of the feasts. They were doing all of what we would call the churchy stuff, but yet they had no idea how blind they were. So Jeremiah comes in chapter 2, he's going to give them a perspective from heaven. This is what God sees. And how even creation is appalled at what is going on. Now, Jeremiah chapter 2, look with me, if you would, for a few moments, in verse 4. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain? God proposes a question, and he says, what have I done wrong? Now here, understand, this is Almighty God, holy, righteous. What have I done wrong? What sin have I committed against you, O house of Jacob? Verse 6, neither said they, where is the Lord that brought us out of the land of Egypt? They're not looking for God. That led us out through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through and where no man dwelt. And I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. The priest said not, verse 8, where is the Lord? And they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after things they do not profit, that do not profit. Wherefore, watch verse 9. Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and with your children's children will I plead. Pass over the isles of Chittim and sea, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there is such a thing. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Now there's a lot going on here in these verses of Scripture. Let me point out one thing to you. God says, he says, I will prophesy. He said, I will plead with you, verse 9, and with your children's children will I plead. In other words, this is generational. It's not just this group. And a generation is 40 years. So he says, I will plead with your children and your children's children. That's 120 years. They've been in this direction, this slippery slope, spiritual decline, for over 100 years. And God says, I'm pleading with you. I've done everything. I brought you into the land of plenty, and you defiled it. I brought you over and you're worshiping and you're making sacrifices unto Baal. That's the devil. That's the opposite of God. But now, let me show you something else. Go to chapter 6. Chapter 6. Look with me in verse 13. For the least of them, even unto the greatest of them, everyone is given to covetousness. And from the prophet, even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely. So the spiritual corruption is from the priests, the prophets, even the princes. Everybody is what? Caught up in all this. Verse 14. They have healed also the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Now watch verse 15. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore they shall fall among them that fall at the time that I visit them. They shall be cast down, saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, verse 16, stand ye in the ways, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Also I set a watchman over them, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not hearken. God has sent Jeremiah. He's the trumpet sounding. He's the watchman. They pushed him aside. By the way, Jeremiah would end up in, they put him in a pit. They put him in prison. Jeremiah just went through all kinds of things. And yet the people said, we're not going to hearken, we're not going to listen, we're not going to do anything he asked us to do. Things have gotten so bad. Look over in chapter 8, verse 11 and 12. He repeats it again what he said in verse 6 of chapter 6. For they healed and hurted the daughter of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. They healed, and it said, they healed and hurted my people. The people are hurting, so what do they do? So what do they tell the people? Well, don't worry about it. Everything is fine. There's peace. Everything's good. There's no problems. We've heard this, but this is the new normal. It's going to be all right when there is no peace. Then verse 12, were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. No longer were they embarrassed over their wickedness. No longer were they embarrassed or ashamed over the fact of all the ungodly things they were doing. Now let's stop there for a moment. Go back to chapter 2. I'm going to read one more verse of Scripture, and then we'll make the application. Chapter 2, look at verse 12. Be astonished, O ye heavens. God can't get a witness on the earth, so he's going to call on creation to be a witness to all that's going on the earth. And God's not looking for somebody to agree with him, but he wants somebody else besides the ones who will listen to that. That's the people of Israel. So he's going to call all of creation to be a witness to testify against what's going on. Now why is that? God created creation, and you know that creation is obeying everything that God has asked it to do. The moon, the sun, the stars, to put it, they're behaving. We're the highest created being that God created after his image. And what are we doing? We rebel. We turn against God. We do what we want to do. We don't want to listen. Verse 12. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord, for my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Be ye horribly afraid. Fearful, why? Because judgment is coming. That's what be afraid. Horribly afraid. So what are the two things? What are the two sins? The two evils? One, they've forsaken the fountain of living waters. They've turned their back on God. And the second thing is that they've hewn themselves out cisterns, broken cisterns that hold no water. Now, most houses had a courtyard and they had a wall around it. Part of that was for defense and part of it was for privacy. And they would get out there in the ground and they would dig it out and they'd make, like we call it, a small, like a bird pond. And they'd dig it out and then they would take the inside of it and they would use mud for mortar and then whenever it would rain, they let that fill up. They would do things. They would wash their feet with it. They would, and when it became drought, they would water their animals. But it wasn't good water. So they turned their backs on God. And so what have they done? They've gone out and they found these false gods that are like a dirty cistern that can't hold water. These false gods can't help them at all. And the best thing they can do is what? It just gives them just a little bit. But that's what those false gods do. He said, so they turned against me and they dug out these holes in the ground. They're cisterns, broken cisterns that can't hold anything. Useless is what it is. No help to them whatsoever. Well, why would you turn away from the living water and work with mud? Why would you turn away from that which is refreshing? Living water, it's flowing all the time, providing you with all that you need. And why do you want to play in the pig pen? Let's stop for a moment. How are we doing in the United States of America? That's us. He has given us plenty. And what have we done? From the top, to the preachers, to the churches, to the people, big picture, there's always a remnant. But the big picture, what? We don't want to hear anybody trumpeting telling us that we're not good. We don't want anybody telling us that. So you know what God's going to do? He's going to call it all creation. And He's going to say, be hardly afraid. Come and look and see what they've done. Now watch this now. With Isaiah, with Jeremiah, he brings them up and he calls heaven to be a witness. When God begins to judge the world in the tribulation, who is He going to call to be the witness then? Creation. The moon is going to do what? It's going to dim. The sun is going to do what? It's going to increase its heat. Everything in creation is going to be all out of whack, witnessing against the fact that we're broken. And when creation gets out of whack, what happens? It will not provide us with what we need. And almost as if God's saying, okay, you don't want me? I'm going to back off, and let's see what your world's going to look like without me. Now, and by the way, without my creation. There was an old story. God and Satan. Well, let's back up. Jesus and Satan were going to have a contest to see who had the right to be called God. So God said, okay, y'all go ahead and make your own creation and do whatever you want to do. So Jesus gets over there and he's forming things, he's making man, and Satan's over here and he wants to take all the shortcuts, and he says, okay, I'm going to make a man in my own image and Satan's image, and I'm going to do all this here. He says, so I need some dirt. So he goes to God and he says, I need some dirt. And Jesus says, get your own dirt. That's my dirt. The point is, Satan can't create anything. John 10, the thief comes but to do what? To steal and kill, and then you got another, and to thrill. That's what he does. He's a liar, he's a deceiver, he's a murderer from the beginning. As the minority, we have to make sure that we do what? That we don't turn against God, that we honor Him with our lives, that when we have opportunity, we need to speak up and say something. And there will be opportunities. We've got Christmas coming up. Hearts are tender. I'm glad. We have opportunity to share. I was in a little dollar store on US 1 yesterday. I was going through there and the lady rang my bill up. It was 666. I said, ooh, that's a bad number. She said, it is. I said, but. She looked at me and smiled. Nobody knew who it was. I said, if you got the Lord Jesus, everything's going to be okay. She goes, well, that's just a number, man. I said, no, that's the number of the bad guy. Satan. I said, the stamp? She goes, oh yeah. I said, Revelation 13? She goes, yeah. I said, but you know Jesus, you're going to be all right. She goes, you're right. I said, okay. Simple thing like that took, what, 30 seconds? It's a witness. Nothing else stirred up her mind. It's just a number. No, there's more than a number. There's something behind that. You know, if we say that we are the children of God, but yet we don't blush when we hear stuff and see stuff, it doesn't bother us, then we need to ask the Lord to go and cleanse out our hearts, because we need to be where we blush. And we get embarrassed, and we can be shamed over what's going on. Guys, we need to do that. We need to do that. And the first thing to me is I don't want to get mad. Sometimes just being embarrassed is plenty. Just being embarrassed. I said, no, I don't agree with that. I just can't do that. What it'll do. It's amazing when one person says no, how they didn't give somebody else encouragement, and they'll say no. More and more people say no. We really believe that Jesus is coming again. And I do. You know what? We need to be that kind of person. There's times for us to blow, and there's times for us to just do normal play. I told you this, but years ago, I was teasing my congregation at the church I was pastoring, and I was going to put a guy up in the balcony and let him just stand up in the middle of the service and nobody know, and just blow as hard as he could on trumpet. So the way you do that's a rapture practice. One lady said, if you do that, I will die of a heart attack. So why would you die of a heart attack? She says, because I don't think I'm saved. I said, well, then we need to fix that. Why would that bother somebody? Because if that really does happen, I'll get left behind. is this. The trumpet were to sound in the next 5 minutes. Would you go with us? If not, you need Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You know that. You've heard it enough. There comes a time and place when you need to do it. You need to receive Christ. And I pray that before you leave this morning, you'll come find me and you'll say, Preacher, I need Jesus. And that'll be my joy, my thrill to take you to the Scriptures and share with God that you need Christ as your personal Lord and Savior.